Hello, everybody. It's Perlo Wisdom here from Puckin Deep, where we get in deep on all things in the NHL. And we're one third through the season right now, and we noticed some pretty interesting stats. This is Ron from R&J Media. He's prospect aficionado. He does a lot of interviews with some of the best prospects out there, and is also involved with Prospect Don, also one of the best prospects. Go check him out as well. He's fantastic. So Ron decided to come on a show. He had something interesting he wanted to look at. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, how's everybody's Thanksgiving? Hope everybody was doing
Oh
good.
yeah,
Hope you
happy
had.
Thanksgiving to
Hope
everybody. My
everybody's
first
recovered from their
Thanksgiving.
turkey coma,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, man, all good, dude. There's this is one of my favorite times of the year, man, because everywhere you turn, there's hockey, right? We just
Yeah.
finished the CHL versus the USHL Prospect Challenge, the second inaugural. We just finished that 2-game tournament that was done. We're getting ready to start. The IIHF starts next weekend, right? For that, really excited about that. So, I mean, not to mention the fact that because the Olympics are coming up, there's this condensed schedule now for the NHL. And so now there's a lot of games on all the time. And then that also means that the AHL has kind of a condensed schedule too. And so there's a lot of games there too. So it's like, man, everywhere you turn, there's hockey. How could
Yeah,
you go wrong with that?
can't. It's awesome. Yeah, it's been my days are full of hockey every day. But I did take some time in Thanksgiving to kind of get away a little bit, chill, relax. Too much of a good thing could be not a good thing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So got to have a balance in life. But now we're back at it, and I would like you to bring up something I didn't even notice, to tell you the honest truth. I'm so involved in every game to game. Sometimes I don't notice stats, the basic stats. But you brought it up to me, and you wanted to point out something. What's going on in the league right now when it comes to goals, my friend?
Well, I've been kind of taking a look at things and just kind of looking at like the different number of goaltenders that have played, the goals against, the save percentages, and then I thought, well, man, let me start looking at the goals and seeing how many
Yeah,
goals are being scored this year. Right now, I don't know. I'm not a trend guy. I'm just looking at things that pop out to me. And there's quite a few players. I mean, aside from McKenna, who's got 20 goals, you know what I mean? But there's
yeah,
like quite a few players that are in that 15, 14 goal range that have put that many goals, away already. And we're barely a third of the way in.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it kind of reminds me of what you brought up after
Mhm.
I told you that, man, it seemed like there was a lot of goals being scored, and then you were
Oh,
like, "Oh, you mean like the 93, 90 or the 92, 93 season?"
well, yeah, 92, 93 had 1450 goal scores, but that was a different era back then. I mean,
Okay.
things things were kind of getting out of the wide open. If I remember correctly, I think they changed the rules right around then too. And
Yeah.
teams, yeah. I mean, there was fantastic. Mary Lemieux had 60. Like there was Pavel Bure, Teemu Solani. I
You
mean,
know, like even Mark Recchi
yeah.
had 53 goals. You know, all
Well,
right.
last year we there was only one. You know, Drysdale. That was it. And here we go. Now we're
He's
looking
on
at
pace. He's on pace for to do it again,
yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
And
Because he's one of the
we have
ones
like
that's
9 or 10 guys that could that and maybe even more could get there. Like they're right around that area where you're creeping on the possibility of at least uh, uh, putting that record to the test here this year. So that is incredible.
It is. Look. So you rattled off some of the guys that did it in '92. So here we go. Wait a minute. Let me pull up my the right one here. Hold on a second. Our crack research staff was a little bit on the slow side here on the uptick, right? Okay. But you got Nathan McKinnon with 20 goals, and then right after him, you got two guys. One guy at 18, well, that's Morgan Geeky. Then you got Kirill Kiprusoff at 16. Then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys at 15 goals. Cindy Crosby, Brad Marchand, Leon Draisaitl, Brendan Hagel, Jason Robertson, and Seth Jarvis. Those guys are all at 15. You got 9 guys right there in the top 9 that have 15 or more goals. That's on pace for 50 or more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you got a plethora. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that all have 14 goals. So that puts you at Celebrini's got 14 goals. He's 18th with 14 goals, right? Connor Bedard, 14 goals. Cutter Gauthier, 14 goals. Logan Cooley, 14 goals. Matt Boldley, 14. Colin Caulfield, Dylan Larkin, Bo Horvath, Jake Gunsel, right? Those are the guys that all have 14 goals. You're right.
Wow.
Guys that you're not expecting to see there, some of them. Guys that you are expecting to see there. But the fact that we're 18 players deep that have 14 or more goals.
Right.
That's potentially knocking on the door there of the 92-93 season, I think.
Yeah. And so when you brought this up, of course, I can't just listen to a stat and go, wow, I have to come up with theories as to why this would be. And we talked on previous shows about the effects of this shortened season and how it may work for teams and stuff like that. And when I think about a lot of the names you mentioned, I actually thought of another reason. There's 2 reasons here. I think one of the reasons is that with a compact schedule, the players that are on the ice the most in a hockey team is the goalies and the defense. And they're the ones that usually have the greater difficulty when it comes to fatigue. And I'm wondering that you mentioned Horvat, you mentioned Celebrini, you mentioned McKinnon. A lot of the names you mentioned to me, these are names that I always understood to be extremely diligent in the off season. Like these guys are incredibly physically fit, even for athletes, like amazing physically fit. And you mentioned some guys that are kind of a surprise there. And I think maybe that's looking at, especially McKinnon. I mean, McKinnon is like meticulous. He even gets on his teammates about eating sugar and stuff like that. Like, seriously, it's been well known everywhere. Like, he is meticulous. Sidney Crosby, same thing. He's right up there. So all these guys that are extremely physically fit have an edge this year because they're not suffering the same fatigue as your average athlete that is an NHL player. And I think this is, and plus with the defenses now having to play all these compact games and all these minutes, goaltenders too. Goaltenders are seriously affected by having to play more games in a short amount of time. And I think these guys are just taking advantage of it. And that's why it's like, I don't think goal scoring itself is up, but these particular players are now have a greater advantage than the average athlete out there. And I mean, not saying that any of these athletes are out of shape or anything like that, but a couple of the names you mentioned there, I know for sure. In fact, I heard Celebrini went out and hung out with Crosby and McKinnon last summer because he wants to get that type of fitness. They hang out together, McKinnon and Crosby, and they work out together.
I think that's one of the things that you have to point at, and our illustrious guest here is asking about how we feel about the Kraken using 3 goalies, and I was just going to get into the goalie situation because you make and you bring up a really great point there, Perlo, with the number of games that are now played at this point in time in the season. You know, we're almost a third of the way in, 27 games. We're just now getting to December. Like there's still 2 or 3 days left in November yet. You know what I mean? There's still many more games left to play before we even get into December. And we're going to probably be closer to 30 games by that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to look at is the goaltenders that have played, you know, those number of games, right? With that list of goaltenders, where you're looking at, man, their save percentages is not all that great, even though they're winning games. Right? Their goals against average is not all that great, even though they're winning games.
That's true.
You get what I'm trying to say.
There's a couple guys
right?
that are doing really well there, yeah, but
right. But I mean,
for the most part, it does seem like save percentages for goaltenders are down a little bit for sure. Yeah,
and their goals against are a little bit high. Do you know what I mean? Like you got Shesterkin, who has played 21 games. He's won 10, lost 9, had 2 overtimes. He's got a save percentage of 911 and a goals against of 248. Now, you need to have at least a .912 and a GAA of at least closer to 2 to be like that's kind of what the Vezina Trophy winner did last year. You know what I mean? But the next highest one is Dustin Wolf, who's won. He's only won 6 games, but he's played in 20 games. Do you know what I mean? So let's go with, let's see, wins. Wedgwood has 13 wins, right? He's a .920 save percentage and a goals against of 208.
2.02, yeah. Best defense in the NHL. Yeah.
Colorado. I mean, seriously, you could put, you know, somebody's grandmother back there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, kind of, I mean, and I know what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
there's a good point, though. You mentioned Colorado. Said the best athletes of the bunch. McKinnon is very demanding for his players to be extremely.
And Makar is too. Makar is too. You know,
and
what I mean?
Makar is too. They're very demanding there to be physically fit in that room. And same as Sidney Crosby. And look at people are surprised at how Pittsburgh is doing. But yeah, save percentages are down a little bit. So to the point of our friend here, Jim's hit, he said, you know, is it not normal for 3 goaltenders to go through to have 3 goaltenders on the thing? You know, maybe Seattle's got something here. You know, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea this year to roll 3 goaltenders a little more.
Well, because was not one of them hurt for a minute? Did they not?
Decord was for a little bit, but they still have. They have Grubauer, Decord, and what's the other
one?
Murray, yeah, and they're playing them all up in the NHL.
Okay, well, so that means they're rolling one less D man or one less forward.
They changed the rule now where you're allowed to have an extra goaltender on now.
Oh, well then,
Yeah. So they added an extra goaltender to the roster, so you don't have to take one roster player off. You can
Oh,
carry
okay.
3.
So you can still
Yeah.
you can
They did
still
that
carry.
for the safety of the goaltenders, so you can, and also they didn't like the idea of the what do they call that, the
The
goaltender
emergency
that comes,
goaltender
yeah, the
from
yeah
out
what
of
do
the
they call
stands,
it
the
again?
guy that used to drive the Zamboni, like, hey man,
Yeah,
we
the
need you to suit
Zamboni
up,
driver.
right?
Yeah, they just thought that sounded so very unprofessional. As much as it was a great story, it's EGAD, I think they call
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. He did it for Carolina.
yeah. And
Yeah,
Toronto
yeah,
lost the game. Toronto lost the
yeah.
game to a Zamboni driver in that. But
I didn't mean to rub that
yeah,
in. I'm sorry.
I'm not rubbing it in on Toronto. Whatever it was, whatever team it was, that's kind of funny. You can always have that hanging over your head. But
Like, hey, I beat Toronto. You know what I mean? Like, all right.
yeah,
No, but I think that that's what's going on here with this whole situation. I mean, if Seattle wants to roll 3 goaltenders, okay. If you have a guy that, look, Murray is not a starting goaltender. He
no,
really isn't.
not anymore.
Not anymore,
Mm,
right? And Grubauer, maybe maybe, but maybe not. I mean, that's probably I'm assuming that's why they're doing it. You know what I mean? Because they got the court as the one playing the most games with the most wins, right? So I mean, they're sprinkling other guys in there just to kind of keep things interesting, I guess. And hey, man, if it ain't broke, I mean, if it's
yeah,
winning you games, then
Seattle's
and if
winning
you
games.
and if you don't
Yeah,
have to cut a defender or a forward out just to roll 3 goaltenders, the only problem is that where's he sitting? He's not sitting on the bench. Is he sitting back there back in the aisle, right? Because if you're dressing 3 goaltenders, where's he sitting? You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, they actually just travel with the team, and they have their suit on, and if anything happens to a goaltender, then they can bring it in, like if they get hurt or whatever. So
So
that's what
they're
they're there for. So
technically
you
a
don't
healthy
have to use the
scratch then.
emergency goaltender anymore. Yeah.
So they're technically a healthy scratch then for the game. Is
Yeah,
that how
pretty
that works?
much. Yeah.
Okay, all
They're
right,
just
all
a
right.
healthy scratch. So they got guys
Okay.
like Murray, and see the league, the union love the idea, because that means an extra goaltender is getting paid NHL money. Like a guy like Murray would probably be in the minors right now, but now he's
Easily.
going to be. He's a perfect guy for an emergency goaltender. He has NHL experience. He's probably not an NHL goaltender, but for one game, if you need him, you use him every once in a while. And it's also like something down the stretch when you have these Olympics, you might see it more and more now that you're using 3 goaltenders a lot more than you were before to give even more rest to both of your goaltenders. It's possible. It's possible. Buffalo's doing it right now. Now that doesn't seem to be working out all that successfully, but Seattle, it's working very well. I mean, they
Well,
have a
you
record.
gotta
I don't
have
know.
the goaltenders.
I don't know if I don't know if having 3 goaltenders is the reason, but it's certainly not the reason. But
You
is there
okay?
muted?
Yeah, muted. Who's muted?
Nobody's muted. I can hear everybody here.
Yep. I can hear everybody.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
So,
We were just
anyways,
checking. Yeah, we were just checking. No, but
it's possible down the stretch you could see that happen, especially if you had like an older goaltender. Yeah, it's possible.
or
But all right,
some teams have Russian goaltenders. Some teams have Russian goaltenders that won't be playing in the Olympics. Do you know what I mean? So they might. I mean, that might affect them too. Okay,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
anyways, yeah.
Thanks everybody
Um,
for letting us know that we can be heard. We were just checking.
okay, good, great. So now with the goals in play, we're talking about the goals, and it is amazing. You're gonna like I don't know if it's going to hold up. I'd have to look back in the last season and see how many were on pace for 50, and then maybe they fell off or something like that. If I do remember correctly, there were more on pace, but I don't think this many. Like you're talking about like 13 guys that are on pace for 50.
Yeah, there's a total of 18 players right now, okay, that are 14 and above with
Right.
number of goals right now at this point in the season, 25, 26, 27 games.
That's crazy.
Into
That's crazy.
right,
Breaking a
right.
record.
So if they stay like that, then we have a good chance of potentially breaking the record from 92, 93. But that means everybody has to stay, or, like what you said earlier, you would have to see a couple guys drop off, but then you might see some of the guys down below that might jump up and might surge, or you know what I mean? Like you might see that, right? You might see some of the guys that are in the top right now drop off, but then you might see some of the guys that are lower that have like 12, 13, 11 goals right now. They might surge now suddenly, for a
Mhm.
bit and get up there too. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's gonna be back and forth. I'm with you on that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to go into the next topic by segueing somebody that's talked about. Ask Parlay Ray here said, what's wrong with my wings? Why do they bring so many minor guys up? Is that all we have? Um, but I'm bringing that. What I'm going to go into in that is because Detroit is a very good, interesting example of which way they're going to go here. And I wanted to talk about this, like you said, we're 1/3 into the season now, and there are a couple teams that look like they could be selling off here in the next little while.
Yeah.
And Detroit's one of those teams that are going to be right on the cusp of buyers or sellers. They, if they fall off, uh, obviously they're not. They didn't last year. And Larkin got very upset that they didn't buy because they were close enough to a playoff
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
But to answer your question and to go segue into the next thing, Stevie Yzerman is all about having filler veterans like Sherrod and stuff like that, and young players consistently getting a chance to show that they're good enough. This is a very slow rebuild. If you're a Detroit fan, I know you're frustrated, but it was his plan all along. Steve Yzerman doesn't care how long it takes. He's going to build a young, dynamic team full of young players and full stockpile of prospects always that never goes away, so they never have to do this again. That was his plan. He's going to continually stockpiling prospects all the time, so they never have to go through a rebuild again. That was his plan, and that's what he's going to do. So he's not going to go buy veterans and stuff like that. So the odds of him actually being a buyer, they have to show that they're a Stanley Cup contender before they do that. And right now, of course, they're not. And so that's going there. But let's look at a couple other teams here.
Well, let me ask you this question first, Perlo. Let me throw this out at you. And I think this parlays to exactly with what you're talking about here, and that's this. Do you think we're going to see moves done before the Olympic break, or do you think we're going to wait till the actual trade deadline and that kind of thing? Because I got to be honest with you, I really feel, and I want to ask you which teams you think are going to be the ones that are going to be buyers and sellers, but I think we're going to see some stuff move before we get to the Olympics. I just have that feeling. I just do. I mean, what do you think about as far as, do you think they're going to be moving before the Olympics, or are we going to wait till we get to the trade deadline day?
I guess this would be a buyers and sellers discussion here. I think before the Olympics, I think we'll see some moves, but I don't think they're going to be groundbreaking moves before the
Okay.
Olympics.
So like
'Cause
bottom
right
tier
now
type
there's
guys
too
or
many
AHL type
teams.
guys, stuff like that.
You'll get there's too many teams right now that are still in it. Like you look at the Buffalo Sabres, they're not a very good team right now, but they're only like a couple points out of a playoff spot. So you're not going to see them selling off significant players like significant like a Tage Thompson. I'm talking about like this blockbuster trade or something like that. I don't think you will see that happen. However, the teams that I'm about to say, I could see moving some players before the Olympics that are somewhat significant, especially if they keep on declining and the way they are. The Vancouver Canucks, for instance, their management has already come out and said that most of their veterans, besides Hughes and Hronek, are available. That's amazing. He said that.
Really?
Hughes and Hronek, not Pedersen. Notice they didn't say Pedersen. They didn't say Besser. They didn't say, they didn't, and Besser they just signed. They didn't say DeBrusk. They didn't say a lot of these major, fairly major players. They only said Hronek and Hughes are the only two, and the rest are up for grabs. Now, since then, Vancouver's kind of had a bump. It might have been more of a like, you guys get your crap together or whatever, show us what you can do, or this is what's going to be. And I think that is probably something that it was, but I think it's also something it will be, because Vancouver is just not a very good team right now. And they know it's not going to be a very good team. So that's a team that maybe before the Olympics, if you have a team that is saying we're better than this and we need some help that can put you over, they may make a move like that before the Olympics because they don't want to screw around anymore. Maybe say like St. Louis Blues maybe think that they're better than they are, but they've been struggling. Or there's like maybe Pittsburgh decides, okay, we're not going to rebuild. I don't think that's going to happen because we're in a playoff spot, and they go and add, teams like that. I could see Vancouver, and the other one is the team in the bottom of the league right now, pretty much, is that everybody kind of knew, but they were sort of gauging where they were. That's what they said before the season started, is the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames have a couple guys like Anderson and stuff. And it could be kind of uncomfortable to keep those guys for longer than they need to if they know they're going to move them. So like Anderson or Coleman or guys like that, that could be like a significant move.
Well, so could a Huberdeau or a Nazem Kadri.
If anybody wants to take that contract, yeah. But yeah, I see what you mean. Kadri or whatever, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, but I'm with you on that.
Those two teams, I think, could possibly do so before the Olympics. But I'm not other than those two teams, though, how many teams are really like just completely out of it right now? There's not really, and even Vancouver isn't completely out of it, but I think they're quite aware that they're not contenders. They don't have much youth in the system, and they're not going anywhere.
That's true, but the East is a little bit more competitive. So you only got like a difference of 7 points from first. Well, wait, hold on. 32, so 7, 8, 9, 10. So you got about 9 points separating first place from, last place, right? 9 or 10 points, right? Is it 10? No, it's 11 points, right? So Buffalo's got 22 points. New Jersey's got 33 points. No, I'm sorry. Tampa Bay has 34. Okay. So, I mean, it's really tight in the East. And it's going to be like that pretty much all the way down to the wire. I think you're going to start to see. I think you're going to see teams like in the West start to separate themselves a little bit more
Yeah.
than what you're going to see in the East, because you're going to have the teams like the Colorados, the Dallases, you know what I mean? Those teams are starting to separate themselves, but you're not really seeing that in the East. It's really bunched up. It's really close. It's really tight, and it's going to be.
Mm.
And you're going to see teams that are going to ride that wave, that are going to, you know, every once in a while, Boston's going to get good. Pittsburgh's going to get good. The Capitals are going to get good. Tampa Bay
Mhm.
right now coming good. You know what I mean? Carolina playing well. You know what I mean? Florida, although maybe down there in the bottom 6th or 7th, you win 4 or 5 games, and suddenly now you're right back up there.
I think Florida will be fine. But you brought up a good name. That's a good example of a team that could probably buy before the Olympics. The New Jersey Devils, who lost Jack Hughes, and they know they're really good, and they want to make sure that it is tight. And some of these teams, like the New Jersey Devils, could say, "I'm not waiting till the deadline. We believe in ourselves now, and we're going to go get a Busser or a DeBrusque, or I think DeBrusque would be really good for them. And they've got draft picks and stuff like that, and they say, we're not waiting. We're going to get them now, so nobody else gets them." Those are those kind of teams in the East like that, because it's so tight. They may think to themselves, okay, it is tight, and we should buy now to maybe put ourselves ahead a little bit. So we're not fighting the battle, we're actually putting ourselves ahead. So
And
I
you know
could
what
see
else?
that.
You say that one of the most awesomest things, Perlo, because could Florida be in that same boat with the number of injuries they have, and the fact that these guys are on LTIR, and they're going to have all this cap space, right, until we get to the playoffs, and this is the last year that you can do that,
Actually, you
right?
can't do it this year. I found out you
Oh,
can't.
okay, okay.
You have to be cap compliant by the playoffs.
By the
You're not
playoff.
allowed to be. You're not allowed to be over the cap. Whatever you have going into the playoffs, you have to organize a roster that has you under the cap. So you
Or
can't do
at
what
the cap.
Florida and them and did and then play with like
Or what
7
Tampa
million over
did,
the
yeah,
cap.
okay. Okay, but I mean, they could potentially do that and then work something out to where that player is, you know what I mean? Like, you never know.
Yeah,
There might be something that they could work out. You just never know, right?
yeah.
But I like that idea. So, do you think that a team like, say, Anaheim, do you think a team like, say, Seattle might be buyers before? Do you know what I mean? Because we talked about how the the Olympics is gonna condense the schedule, and you're seeing some teams that are maybe rising to the top right now because they're just playing balls out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So could they potentially be buyers because they, like you say, they believe in themselves. They feel they have a shot. They feel that, hey, they need those 1 or 2 more couples pieces. Let's go out and get them. We have some cap space, blah, 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 blah. We're already, in the top 3 in our division, in our, whatever. I mean, what do you think about those teams?
Well, Seattle has actually already come out and said that they're looking to add. I found that odd, but because they're doing so well right now, I think it might be kind of smoke and mirrors because their underlying analytics aren't very good. But if they believe in themselves, I think that they could do it. But I think they're going to give themselves some rope to find out exactly where they're at before they just go selling off willy nilly and adding players. So that's a team I could see if they're deep in it, still where they are now at the deadline. They could do some stuff like that. What was the other team you were saying?
Like Anaheim
Anaheim.
or
Anaheim is an interesting one as well because they're a young team. I also think they're going to wait. Like they're going to wait till after the Olympics before they make any big moves because you don't know with young teams, right? Like
I
you
mean,
just want to make
they
sure.
have cap space, They have cap
They
space.
have the cap space, yeah.
They have deep prospects, and they have a pretty good amount of picks for the next year. They
Yeah,
could give up some of that stuff to land somebody that could help
absolutely.
them get over the hump. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
I think Anaheim have definitely become buyers now. They're not in a position to be, they're not worried about rebuild anymore. I think they've become more buyers for sure, no doubt about it.
Okay.
That organization, that market can't afford to be missing the playoffs every year. Kudos to that ownership for taking the losses that they've taken to get that team there. And they also have to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So they also still have to make sure that they build a solid prospect pool. But they got to also make the playoffs. They got a fan base there that needs to see some success. So I think this year Anaheim's going to be identifying some holes. Like they have very young defense there. Maybe bring some defensemen on a 2-3 year contract that isn't going to kill them. They could probably afford to give up a first or something like that. You know what I mean? And bring in a guy like that in Anaheim. I think you definitely will see that in Anaheim. And Seattle, I thought with Seattle, what they were doing, I thought the plan was to get all these veteran guys, and then this to be successful as they can, to bring fannies into the seats, because you don't want to be absolutely horrible as a new organization.
You're right.
And then when this season came up, because it's so deep of a draft, prospect guys, you're a prospect guy. This draft
Yeah,
is going to be
26, 27 is going to be, yeah.
And so I thought their idea was that they were going to sell off, get more, and get draft picks for these two drafts. But now, at least what they've said vocally anyways, they have decided to, they say vocally in public that they're looking to add. So throws my theory right out the window. And I guess
Right?
they're 11, they're 11-6-1. They're 11-6-1. And personally, I think that it's kind of smoke and mirrors, because they do roll 4 lines and they're playing with super high energy. I don't know if it's going to hold up over a whole season. And but they're taking teams in this condensed schedule, rolling that four lines, right? But overall, their talent doesn't tell me that they're a playoff team. But if they think so, then I guess they think so.
I mean, okay, now let's throw you a curveball here now, because and I was looking at this the other day, and I'm just looking at San Jose's roster, and I'm going, man, I mean, they're playing okay. They've won some games, they've lost some games. They're do you think maybe San Jose, they've got a lot of assets that they could bring up and do, and you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yes, this is live, Grand Club. Yeah. I think they're going to be very wary of getting rid of assets right now. Their defense is pretty slim. They don't really have a deep prospect pool yet. I'm sure they're very happy that these young kids are doing as well as they are right now. Celebrini is a superstar without a doubt, like no doubt about it. People ask me, do you think Celebrini will be on the Olympic roster? Are you freaking crazy? Of course he's going to be on the Olympic roster. And then they'll ask me, well, who's going to go out? I'm like, I don't care. The question is who the question is who doesn't go out. That's the question. Celebrini's better than, the only ones that don't go out are McKinnon and McDavid. And, like if you want to tell me that you're going to not put in Marchand, I'm like, okay, don't put in Marchand. Reinhardt, okay, don't put in Reinhardt. Well, I mean, there's plenty of names out there that you drop instead of Celebrini. Celebrini is that good, and I'm sure they're very happy. But I also don't see them selling off assets right now. They're going to build a super team there in San Jose, a little bit at a time.
So that's why I wanted to ask you about them, because I know that's what they're trying to do, and they don't really have a lot of defense. Do you know what I mean? And they're one of those teams that, they have to score a lot of goals in order to win their games.
Unless
You know what I mean?
Askarov.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, okay.
That kid is insane.
I'm
Oh my
telling you
God.
what. I
Have you
know,
been
right?
watching that kid?
Yes.
Oh,
You were
oh
the one that
man.
turned me on to him too, man. And I was just like, oh,
Wow.
Carlos said to watch this Askarov kid. So I like, all right. So I started watching him, and man, dude
Oh,
has got some sick hands. He's got some
oh.
sick moves. He can
He's
skate.
the best goaltender I've seen since Hasek, like so far at this age. Like Hasek came in later too. Like
I love
this,
how he handles the puck.
yeah.
I mean, you don't see that
Everything about
anymore.
him, man. He's just unbelievable. He became Nashville's got to be like crying in their soup that they traded this guy.
Well,
So you got,
but
yeah.
okay. So all right. So
So you got Celebrini, you got this Askarov kid. You got
you
Smith
got Will
and
Smith.
Eklund. You got a Misa. He's young, a little young yet, but from the time I've seen him on the
But
ice there, man, that
Michael
kid's
Misa.
got
Oh,
something.
dude, I'm gonna tell you something, man. They do have a pretty deep prospect pool, just to let you know. And they, like I said, they're pretty deep as far as that's concerned, but they're deep as far as forwards. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Forward
yeah.
depth.
They need help on D. They need help on D.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. So they've got all this depth at forward. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they might try to, because they're doing better than what they were expecting, because they're playing a lot better, because Askarov is playing so well, because Celebrini is playing so well. Maybe they feel that, hey, we can potentially try to do something this year. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless
Okay.
they just
Okay.
go right off. Unless they go right off and they're in top of the division and they leave the organization no choice to buy, I just don't see that happening.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
see that happening with San Jose. They're going to be
Okay.
solid. They're going to be in there. They're going to be in games and they're going to play well against a lot of teams, but they're not going to likely make the playoffs this year. It's going to wear down on them and stuff like that. But they're exciting to watch. They're fun to watch, and they're really obviously not all that far away. They're going to draft some defensemen this year. They get that Verhoof kid or something like that. What's that? Verhoff, yeah, Verhoff.
Verhoff.
What was that one you turned me on to? He's climbing the rankings that you just interviewed. Didn't you just interview him not too long ago?
Well, there was a couple kids we did. Jackson Rudolph was one I
That's
interviewed.
it. Jackson Rudolph.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. He
Right.
looks like he's, they get a couple guys like that, and then you may see them start buying pretty quick.
Right.
But I don't think this year.
Those are two of some of the best defensemen you're going to see coming out of the draft this year, I think, for sure. Quite easily. But the draft this year, 26, is really good, but 27 is shaping up to be even better.
I know. Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to have McKenna. Yeah. Right? And Pelosi. You're going to have that McKenna kid come out in 26. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's probably going to be the number one guy. And then probably right after him is going to probably be Tynan Lawrence.
Yeah.
Will probably be the
I've
next
heard
guy.
lots of scouts putting Tynan ahead of McKenna.
Well,
I've heard a few scouts putting him.
Tynan's playing for Muskogee Lumberjacks and McKenna's playing for Penn State.
Yeah, it's a difference, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, right. So
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Right.
You know more than I do. I've just heard some scouts saying that. So.
Right. No. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm throwing it at you. I mean, those are the two guys I think are going to be fighting it out for the number one spot. More than likely, I think you're going to see McKenna take the number one spot, Tynan be the close second. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I'm feeling.
Do you think, as far as centers are concerned, or like just period? Like
just period.
Period. He's going to be over those defensemen. He's going to be.
He might be. It's all going to depend. It's all going to depend on who is picking where and what their needs are. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? because Daxon Rudolph could be number 2 overall.
Yeah, he's moving up fast. That
Verhoff
kid's looking really good.
could be number 2 overall, right? Verhoff could be number 2 overall. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's guys that could slot in
And there's
there
that
very easily.
Stenberg kid in Sweden. He's chewing it up there. He looks like he's going to be something.
I'm telling you, man.
That's a super deep draft. Super
It
deep
is.
draft.
And 27 is shaping up to be even deeper with just as many, if not more, of the, every once in a while a player comes along like Matthew Schaefer. Yeah, I mean, how many guys? I mean, he broke a record the other night against the Flyers, right? Youngest guy, the shortest amount of games with the most amount of goals and points for a defender. Like guys up there with Hall of Fame guys, you know what I mean? Like, this Matthew Schaefer man is the real deal. And I'm going to tell you, okay? Nothing's going to surprise me about anything that he accomplishes this year at all. Nothing will surprise me at all. I bet you any money he's going to be on the roster for the Olympics. I'm pretty much guaranteeing you he's going to be on the roster for the Olympics. Right? And it's like you were saying about, who it's not about the fact that he's not going to be on the team, it's who's not going to go. Because Schaefer's going.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, well, we got into some nice prospect stuff, which I always like to do with you, because you are a prospect guy, and it's good to know. I wish I had time to be more into the prospects and stuff like that, but
okay,
I'm
doing
them.
You guys do you do the more of the NHL, Perlo. You've got this huge, deep, vast knowledge of the NHL, and I've never spoken to you and Lyle. Like Lyle has just got this vast encyclopedia brain of NHL knowledge, as far as you know what I mean? So like I put you and him in the same spot, right? Yes.
That's high praise, because like I said, I've been reading Lyle's work for several years with the Hockey News. I've always loved his stuff. And
he had a great comment. He had a great comment for us. After we did our show, our second show we had with him on, he said, you guys really know what's going on. He said, he loves coming on to our show because we know puck.
Yeah. And we do. And that's why we call it Puck in Deep. And you just heard it. This is how we do here at Puck in Deep. We get in deep to all the NHL stuff that's going on, or you don't even know that's going on. We look at various reasons for whys and trades and prospects and all of that.
I love it, man.
This is a show that, when you asked me to do this show in the summer, I thought to myself, this sounds like I want to do a show that I would listen to if it were me. And there's a lot of stuff out there that I turn off within 30 seconds, and I'm not putting them down. People love those shows, and that's fine. I'm not putting you down if you like a lot of these shows. I'm not putting that down. You like those kind of shows, that's fine with me, but I don't. And I don't see too much in-depth actual hockey talk going on out there. It's usually something to do with the team, and it's very base and very simple and all that kind of stuff like that. I am not that type of person, so I wanted to do so.
With what you talk about, Perla, with what you do with your betting and your parlays and all that other stuff, the amount of knowledge that you need to know for that kind of in-depth prognosticating. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? Like you got to know your P's and Q's. You got to have your analytics. You got to know what's going on with each one of those teams, each one of those players to a certain level. I mean, line combinations, and
Yep.
that's what affects games. Different line
Uh-huh.
combinations, guys on different lines, guys in and out of the lineup. That affects how many points they're going to score. That affects how their defense is going to be. That affects how goals against and all that other stuff. I get it.
Right.
That's why
Yep.
I love what we do. That's why I love your contribution, Perlo, because you know those intricate nuts and bolts
Yeah.
of details about the NHL.
Right. Yeah, I was always like that, so I needed it to apply to something, and sports betting allowed me to apply it to
There
something
you
to
go.
make it look like, because if before it didn't apply to anything, and all I had was people going like, "Don't you really have a life on anything else?" I'm like, "No, not really." No. That's it. So maybe you should probably make a living doing what you're doing. Good idea. All right.
Good idea.
Pucking Deep. We've been going a long time here, like we normally do. We get rambling. This is Pucking Deep. This is Ron from R&J Media. Ron, tell us what's going on with R&J Media and all of this stuff coming up, or shows you've done, and all of
Yeah,
those
man.
things.
For sure. By the way, just to let you know, Russell, yes, very fired up for World Juniors. At least I am, because I'm very heavily involved in prospects and following prospects, interviewing prospects. I got a prospect on the way coming up that we're going to be doing an interview here with real soon. I'm going to be doing a preview show about the World Juniors, which is coming up here real soon. Of course, I do the Hockey Writers Inc. With Russ Cohen. We do that about the Philadelphia Flyers. So I do the Prospect Watch show. That involves all things prospects, where you can see interviews from Tynan Lawrence, who we talked about on the show, Daxton Rudolph, who we talked about on the show. You can see those interviews that I've done. Some other interviews that I've done, Mikey Burchild, another one that's for this year as well. So be sure to hop on over there to that and check them
Mr.
out.
Schaefer. Mr.
Yep.
Schaefer.
Yep. We talked to Matt Schaefer. We talked to Jackson Smith. We talked to Kayshawn Aitchison. We talked to Roger McQueen. I mean, we talked to a lot of the guys that got drafted last year. This year, it's been a little bit more difficult to get a hold of the players now, where they're starting to get more and more representation now. So the agents are stepping in now and are putting a halt to some of these things, but it's allowed us to open up a lot of doors, and I still have a lot of doors that I can open up, and I'm still talking to some players. So we got some things lined up on Prospect Watch. Be sure to check that out, man. Also do a show called The Huddle, where we cover the Pittsburgh Steelers. So thank you, Perlo, for doing this show with me, man. I really appreciate that you do this Pucking Deep with me, because we know puck.
Yeah, we do. So with that in mind, thanks everybody for coming in, and make sure you're tapping that subscribe if you're enjoying this, and like it if you like it. So there's a little belly thing, and it took me a while to figure that out either. There's a little belly thing that you hit it. What happens when I do a Pucking Deep, it goes ding. Well, it doesn't actually, but and it gives you a notification that we're on, and then you're just going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get home."
Right? You got to tune in and watch.
So make sure you're hitting that, and we'll catch you next time when we get Pucking Deep one more time. Have a great day, everybody. That's my full 42. Catch me in an hour. Don't go anywhere. I got a show coming up where we talk about the betting for tomorrow, don't you know? That's called Rico and Perlo's House of, I got Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Picks Frolic. Yeah, it's long.
Oh, exotic picks frolic. Ah, yeah.
Because exotic, one of the guys that comes on every day, our guest every day, his name is Exotic Picks, or Dre, so we call it Exotic Picks.
So exotic picks.
All right, so catch me in an hour, and I'll catch you later on Puck in Deep. Okay, bye.